Namaskar, Raviji. My question to you is, what are the origins of Deva, Asura, Naga, Apsara, Gandharva, Yaksha? Are these different tribes? And what are the ancestral origins? And what are the respective geographical locations of each of these tribes? Is it right to call them tribe, or what is the exact word? And please do explain. Yeah.
Yes. Very important question, because when you go into any of the ancient Bharatiya texts, starting from Rigveda, then to Itihasas and Puranas, you see all these mention of names of this Deva, Asura, Yaksha, Gandharva, Kinnara, Kimpurusha, Vanara, like that. So the correct answer is that very ancient period, that is in the pre-Rigvedic period, these were like different tribes or clans. The best correct word is to, these are like groups of people who actually lived in Himalayas, on the banks of Sindhu, Saraswati, Ganga rivers, and some on in the Vindhya territory, Vindhya mountains. But as we progressed from the Rigvedic period to Itihasa and then Puranic period, they are two things, two transformations happened. This familiarity with this ancient tribe was lost. Ancient people or ancient clans were lost. So whenever these ancient tribal names appear in the text, the later redactors of the text transform them into divine beings, sometimes divine beings, or beings with some special abilities. And sometimes they treat this with some lot of supernatural elements, etc. They included in it. And the other part of it is that it is not, it is fully compatible with the Sanatana Dharma tradition, where our ancestors are actually deified and they become divinities. So ancestral worship is a part of our tradition. So the Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, or even Devadanavas, all of them are actually our ancestors. And being the ancestor, they are automatically, they becomes also deified. So these are the general framework I will tell. Now we'll come to the point of each individual this categories.
Let's
So
start with
yeah.
one by one. And can you please share your laptop and then open the Google Map, and let's start with Deva, and then we'll move to Asura. Can you share your
Google Map,
and you can just show us like in a Google Map, like Tibet area, whatever the area, like for example, foothills. What do you mean?
okay. You what I can give you is later.
No,
You can add this.
you can directly open a screen share on your laptop, and then you can share it.
All right. I have some activities going on in my laptop, right? Copying, etc. So it's
Okay.
not possible. You can insert this. That is how all the podcaster do. You can insert the images, edit these images into your
Yeah, sure.
podcast.
Then you just share the locations verbally as of now, and then I'll add the images
I
on
will.
the
I will
top of the
mention.
video. Yeah.
I will mention the location. Then you can add those images from the Google Map. So one is this Devas. So basically, when we say Devas, basically, so they are our direct ancestors. So in the Rigveda, there are certain suktas where it says, no, we are protected by the Devas, and then our enemies are trying to attack us. And when they say enemy, they are calling them Dasa. That is one term they used. Or they are very, like in the late Rigvedic period, they are called Asura. So these are the terms. So Rigveda, you mostly we see the term Dasa. And of course, in the
Also,
later Sanskrit.
sorry to interrupt, but can you clearly differentiate Dasa and Dasyu and Deva?
Correct.
Is there any
So
common
Dasyu,
ancestral origins for both? Were they cousins or something, like family or something? If you
right.
start
These
from
are
the
like
origin point, and then
uh,
who are Devas, who are Dasas, who are Dasyus?
Dasyus. So these are like the Rigvedic terminology, which is almost always different from the Puranic Itihasic terminology, right? So in the Rigveda, there are three groups. One is Deva, another is Dasa, another is Dasyu. So Deva means actually our own people, our own ancestors, etc. So, for example, the Bharata kings, whenever they have a kind of a conflict, they will invoke the Devas. So, Devas basically ancestors. They consider some group of ancestors who will actually bless them in battles, etc. So, they are the Devas. So, their location is Varaprithivya, which is the northern Haryana. So, whatever later in the Itihasas we call Kurukshetra. So that region is where the Bharatas were actively living, because Saraswati was a great river, almost as powerful as Ganga and Sindhu. And that great river Saraswati was flowing along the Kurukshetra. So that Kurukshetra region was the most happening place, very highly dynamic kingdoms, everything, ancient Rigvedic Janapada, that city-state, everything was that. The kings like Devadasa, Sudas, all of them lived and ruled there. And dasa is a term they use for their enemies. And in the later text, we call them as asuras, or in the Iranian text, we call them ahuras. And dasyu is the term they use for the priest class of the dasa. So dasyu, later on, we call them bhrigus, bhargavas, all these terminologies are included. This is also why in the Puranas, we see the Asura Guru Shukracharya, he is a Bhargava. So basically, the Bhargavas are typically the priests of the Asuras. So the Asuras is represented in the Rigveda as Dasa, and their priests are represented, that is the Bhrigus are represented as Dasyus. And the same two terminologies, like in the Itihasa Puranas, we call them Asura, or Asura itself we divide into Daitya or Danava. So Daitya and Danava term typically start coming from the Itihasas onwards. In the Rigveda, you have its very root part of it, like Dana. It means water. So the river, the name, the term Dana, Sanskrit term Dana, is used for referring to rivers. Danu is a river, basically. Basically, a river from Himalayas. So a river originating from snow and frost. So such rivers are called Danu. So if you look at those rivers, this Ravi, Chenab, Jalam, Satluj, Bias, Sindhu, Ganga, Yamuna, all these rivers are Danu because they are originating from the snow-covered Himalayan mountain. So the source of these rivers is melting of the glaciers. So that term is there inside the Rigveda. And if you look at these people migrated to Europe, and you see same river names, Danube, Don, Nipper. So these are all named after Danu.
Okay.
The river.
Abhijit, like, can you concisely explain? So Devas lived, exactly what do you mean? Where are the Devas living? Geographical location of Devas.
Deva means it is the Devas. Basically, we have to, looking at the evidence from Rigveda, they lived in the Varaprithivya, which is Kurukshetra, or the northern Haryana.
Is it for the Kurukshetra is for the human beings, right? The Deva, I think, near Mount Kailash, something.
So Kurukshetra is the term which started from the King Kuru, right? King Kuru is a very late.
Sorry to interrupt again. So when I see the Puranic thing, you see like Devaloka, Bhuloka, Patala Loka. Actually, what they mean is like the mountain region, Himalayan footprints, and then some little bit of Central Asian part is the Devaloka. And whatever this Bharatavarsha, before until Bharatavarsha, where this Rama, his father Dasratha goes to help Indra for war, which means like he's traveling from Ayodhya to somewhere Himalayan foothills, somewhere near Tibet, some area. He's going to fight.
I will tell that.
So Patala means I think it's southern India, possibly below the India
bottom. I will just explain that.
Is it? Am I correct or like? Can you explain?
That's what I am explaining, right? So in the Rigveda, there are a lot of terms that says the Varaprithivya is also the domain of Indra. That is, this is the Indra's playground. All these things are there in the Rigveda.
Raviji,
so which is the play.
When you say Varaha Prithya, something like that, older ancient terms, when you use ancient terms, please also mention parallel current location, like Delhi or something, so that people understand. Otherwise, Varaha Prithya, nobody knows that.
That's what I'm saying. Varaprithivya is actually renamed as Kurukshetra by the King Kuru. And that happened in the late Rigvedic period. So until that time, it was called Varaprithivya. And today it is called the Northern Haryana. So you are understanding a term like Northern Haryana. That is the term which is used in the Mahabharata for Kurukshetra. Same thing in the Rigveda, it is called Varaprithivya. Varaprithivya means the best place in the world. That is a very simple meaning of the place. So this best place in the world, Varaprithivya, that is Northern Haryana, is also mentioned as the playground of Indra, etc. And I will tell you the Himalaya how it comes, because the Indra is also all the Devadas, including Indra, is mentioned as living in the heaven, high above the skies, and that geography is also mentioned in the Rigveda as Vishtapa. The term Vishtapa means plateau, elevated terrain, and that Vishtapa is actually the plateau north of the Himalayas. That is the Tibetan plateau. So these also we get very rare references from Rigveda. And the people of the plains, that is the Varaprithivya, the Bharata kings, they consider the Devas descending from the Vishtapa, that is the elevated terrain, that is from Tibet. So whatever you mentioned, ultimately it is pointing to that same thing, where the Devas are understood as coming down from a heavy elevated terrain, which is like above the clouds. And from there they are descending, and whenever there is a yajna or invocation for Indra, he comes down and take part in the yajna and returns back. So these are all originally coming from Rigveda, and from this the entire idea of Devatas living above the Himalayas in the one terrain, that is Tibetan terrain, that emerged.
Raviji,
Right?
Raviji, one more thing to clarify for the audience is, sorry to interrupt. I will be interrupting because to make things concise and clear, that's my only motive.
Yeah.
Sorry if I interrupt. So the guy who comes to accept whatever the oblations in the yajna, the guy Indra, is a human being.
No, I'm not saying that. See, the Indra as a human being, if at all existed, lived a very long back, maybe many thousand years before the Rigvedic composition.
Yeah, so the Indras, whenever you see Indra, there is a Airavata, which is a white elephant. Is that white elephant that woolly mammoth? They used to live very like 10,000, 20,000 years. They used to live in that ice somewhere.
Correct. So the right word, the right way to explain it is the Airavata concept actually had underwent a big evolution, right? Because Indra riding the Airavata, the elephant, the white elephant, that is it's a little bit later in the Rigveda, and very much strengthened in the Itihasa Puranas. Whereas the oldest reference to Indra is that he is riding a chariot driven by Ashwa. Ashwa means need not be horse, it can be bull or any kind of draft animal, right? So when I look at very closely, this is a bull-driven chariot, because in the early Rigveda, Ashwa means anything which moves fast, and typically something which drives a chariot. So the Indra's Vahana is mentioned as bull, to be very precise. Ashwa is mentioned, but very clearly the Ashwa is clarified as bull, Rishabha. So the Rishabha Vahana, Indra is the Rishabha Vahana basically. And subsequently this attribute went to Shiva, right? Because this same Indra who is in the Rigveda, the Indra's attribute is transformed into the Puranic deity Shiva. And another in the Rigvedic deity Rudra.
Sorry, in Vajrayana Buddhism, the highest god is Vajra Bhairav. Vajra Bhairav is Indra actually, with the thunder guy. In Tibetan Tantric Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism, the highest deity they consider is that fellow, Indra itself, in the form of Shiva or Bhairav. So so now let's go to Asuras. So Asuras geographical location, Gandharvas, Apsaras.
Correct. So let me complete this Airavata. So Indra is mentioned as bathing in the river Parushni in the Rigveda. And Parushni's Aitihasic name is Iravati. And automatically from there the idea of Airavata emerged. Airavata means belonging to the Iravati. And Iravati is the Ravi river. So Indra's favorite river is the Ravi river, and he always baths in that river. And because of that later tradition, they consider that Indra is riding this Airavata. Basically, Indra is bathing in Iravati. That got transformed into Indra riding Airavata. And later, another thing is Indra became a rain god because the monsoon become very important for the India. And the monsoon clouds are almost like a white elephant. So that iconography of Indra riding the white elephant, that is the cloud, monsoon cloud, that emerged. So it has so many researchers connect it with the woolly mammoth, etc. But if you understand how the transformation happened, like a bull-driven chariot driving Indra to riding the Ravi river, which is known as Iravati, and though naturally the Airavata concept comes, the rain cloud comes. So all of them combined, the Indra become the rider of Airavata white elephant. Now I will ask your question. I will answer the Daitya Danavas, right? So very interestingly, if you combine the Rigveda studies with the Avestan Zoroastrian text, you will be surprised. You will be shocked. They call their most important river as the Daitya river. The river name is Daitya.
What is the modern name for the river?
You got it, Pradeep?
Yeah. What is the modern name for that Daitya river?
This Daitya river. So today it is known as Jalam river, Vitasta. Right? So in fact, all these three rivers, the Ravi, Chenab, and Jalam, all of them qualifies to be called Daitya. But the last stronghold of these Avestan speakers was the Jalam river. And so that is the Daitya they are mentioning inside the Vendidad, one of the important texts of the Iranians. And then they took the particular region around the Iravati river, they called this Iranam Veja. That name they took to their final destination, that is Iran. So the name Iran comes from this Iran Vej, which is actually the name of their homeland along the Iravati river. So all these are connected, right? From the Ravi river, they shifted to the Chenab river, which is called the Black River, Asikni. From there, they shifted to Vitasta, which is always most of the time it is a frozen like Vritra, frozen like a snake. And that snake is called Vritra in the Rigveda. And Indra is mentioned as releasing this frozen river Vitasta. So that means he killed the Vritra, and then the river started flowing. That is the Vitasta river. And that river is mentioned as Daitya river in the Zoroastrian text. So their homeland around these rivers, called Arianam Veja, that they transposed into their latest homeland. When they reached this, after closing Afghanistan, they reached Iran. So this Irana Veja become Airavata, no, this Iran Vej. And last the Vej got dropped, it became Iran. So that, to answer your question, where the Asuras are living, so Daityas are living currently in the Iran. And the other group is the European group. They are the Drukyu group. They migrated to Europe. And they took the river name Danu. Danu river name they took to Europe. Every river in Europe is called Danu. That is the Don river. Don is directly means Danu. Then Danube, another river named after Danu. And one more is the Nipper. So there are 4 or 5 rivers. I am just only mentioning the most famous one. Almost every important river inside Europe is named after the goddess Danu. So the answer to the question, where is the Danavas? Now they are living in Europe. So they are the Europeans basically.
Okay. So now we'll move to Gandharva and Apsaras. We have 10 minutes left actually in the meeting. So Gandharvas and Apsaras, and then we'll move to Yaksha Naga.
Correct. Right time. So the Gandharva is very straightforward. They lived along the Kabul river, Kupha river, and Rigveda directly mentioned that is the abode of the Gandharvas. And same thing, the Ramayana repeats that to the west of the KK Janapata, the kingdom of uncle of Bharata, you have the Gandharvas living. And the same thing in the Mahabharata, they mentioned the Gandharas, like Shakuni and Gandhari and their father Subala, they are ruling Gandhara. So these three sources, but Rigveda, Ramayana, and the Mahabharata are taking same place, that is the Kabul River Valley. So where is Gandharvas today? They are living in the northwest Pakistan and Afghanistan. So they are the Gandharvas. And Apsaras are basically they are women folk who are living on the banks of water. Apa means water. Sara means lake. So the water, whatever, wherever is this rivers and lakes are there, the ladies are coming and taking water from that, the Gandharva ladies. So that Gandharva ladies are called Apsaras. And of course, in the Vara Prithivya, where is the northern Haryana also, there is two river names, Apaya and Saraswati. So on the confluence of Apaya and Saraswati is Apsara, and there also that is the primary source of the Gandharvas. Sorry, Apsaras. So Apaya river is in Haryana and Saraswati also in Haryana. So from Apaya and Saraswati, you got Apa, Sara, and that become Apsara. So that is Apsaras. Then Kinnara is a very straightforward. Northern Himachal Pradesh, if you go, you see place name called Kinnor. The Kinnor apple, all these things are coming from that place. So they are the Kinnaras, the people who are living on the Himachal Pradesh, Himalayan territory. And if you go the Kailas Manasarovar region, so the Kinnaras living those in that Tibetan region, they are called Kimpurusha. Kimpurusha. So Kimnara, Kimpurusha means are they human? This is a question mark. It is in Sanskritam. Are they human means question mark. So because they are cultural difference. The Himalayan people have a very different culture. So the Gangatic people ask them, question them, are they humans? Because they have a different kind of culture. But they are actually humans, basically of following a different culture. That is Himalayan culture. So where are the Kinnaras living today? They are in Himachal Pradesh. Where are the Kimpurushas? They are in the just adjacent to Himachal Pradesh, in the Tibet. They are the Kimpurushas. Even along the Satluj River basin, they are living. And Yakshas are living in close to Kailas Manasarovar range. So that is why in the Ramayana Mahabharata, you see that wherever Shiva's Kailas is there, that entire area is ruled by Yaksha Vaisravana. So Yaksha, you got it. And the Yakshas also very good presence in the Kurukshetra. The four corners of Kurukshetra are guarded by Yakshas. So you have that names also we can see in the Haryana Google map, where Yaks, like that. You so many names of the Yakshas guarding Kurukshetra. The four corners of Kurukshetras are guarded by Yaksha. So Yakshas are there in the Himalayas and in Kurukshetra also, just like the Devadas also there in Himalayas and Kurukshetra, like that. Now the last one.
So the Yakshas are the guardians of treasures, is it right?
Similarly, yeah. That
and when you see the iconography in temples and everything, they look very short. And what does it mean? Like they are short in height, Tibetan, like 4 feet, 5 feet.
The temple icons, based on that, we can't do. These are nothing, because these are all came from Gupta period, right? So, but guardians part is correct, because in the earliest mention of the Yakshas as guardians happen in Mahabharata, where they guarding the Kurukshetra. The four corners of Kurukshetra are guarded by the Yakshas. And Kailas are also guarded by the Yaksha. Kailasa, the Shiva's abode, surrounded by the Yakshas. That is their territory. So they are the Tibetans, basically. I mean, today they will be considered more like associated with the Tibetans, the Yakshas. But now, even though in the earlier period.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Now we have like 4 minutes left. So you can briefly explain whatever you are trying to say, and then we'll end with Nagas.
Correct. So the last two part is just like your Kimnaras in the Himalaya. On the Vindhya mountains, there are some similar kind of mountain people. So after the Ganga people saw them, they say, "Wa Nara, are they humans?" Like that they exclaimed. So from that exclamation, you got this Vanara people. So they are actually Vindhya people. And there is a mountain called Riksha to the eastern side of the Vindhya, Riksha mountain, that is in Bihar, like that. That Riksha mountain is named after bear. So the people living that in that Riksha mountain, human beings, they are called Rikshas. So they are not bears. So the Jambavan and all, we call them bear, but they are not really bear, they are human beings. But the name came from the mountain named Riksha, which means bear. But the people are not this. And the last is Naga. So Naga actually is very straightforward because in the Mahabharata, the people living along the Iravati river, again that river comes again and again. That Iravati river people are called the Nagas. That is even the today Harappan sites. Harappa is actually on the Iravati river, Ravi river. So basically they are Harappans in a way if you look at. So the Nagas primarily they were living on the Iravati river, that is Ravi river, and later on they moved to Ganga. So you know in the Mahabharata there is a Bhima was poisoned by Duryodhana and then he was thrown into Ganga river. So the Nagas living on the Ganga river they rescued Bhima. So the Nagas are in the two regions are very much well attested. One is the Ravi river, another one is the Ganga river. So that region from the Indo-Gangetic plain you have the Nagas. Later on, they spread all over India, right? That's why you see Nagas everywhere, even in Northeast, in South, everywhere. That is all the people are now covered.
Okay. So any link? I think Vedic early and late stage Vedic literature doesn't mention South Indians, like any specific tribes or clans from South India, and who were living in South India during early and late stage Rigvedic.
That is a kind of no, very clearly Rigveda's geography horizon ends by the river Narmada. Nothing south of Narmada is mentioned in the Rigveda. It mentions the oceans around Gujarat. Even Narmada part is not very clear.
So
only the Ramayana mentioned.
So any insights from the Sangam age about the Rigvedic people or Vedic people? Any insights in the Sangam literature? No.
Nothing.
So was there any trade?
In the Sangha literature, the Sangha literature, the prominent rivers are Kaveri and Vaigai, Ponna, this Pennar, Tamarvarni, Porunai river. So the Sangha literature have no knowledge of the northwestern territory, which is mentioned in the Rigveda.
Okay. So, but where do you fit the Agastya Muni then? He is the main, looks like a link between.
So the Agastya is a lineage, it's not an individual. So you have the Agastya rishis of Rigveda living in northwest India. And then you have in Ramayana, there is one Agastya rishi who interacted with Sri Rama. He was living to the south of the Vindhya. He has just crossed the Vindhya mountain and living on the other mountain, Shuktimat mountain, northern valley of the Shuktimat mountain to the south of India. So by the time of Ramayana, Agastya just crossed the Vindhya and just reached the next mountain. The Agastya means one of the individual Agastya. And subsequently,
I think we are time is 30 seconds left, I guess.
Correct. So Sangam period, they reached South India by Sangam period. So there is full evolution.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Raviji, for sharing many things. And we appreciate you taking your time for this. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.